29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set the rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I see what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. One day I'll be yours. One day I'll be yours.
Hey guys, how are we today? How are we doing on this Monday? We have Nature Rocks. Van, how are you? And Miss Alma, how are you? I'm so glad to see you guys today. A lot of people had some other things to do today, and it just seemed like it all hit on today, but that's all right. We're here. That's what matters, right? Um, I You guys, did you guys see I was getting everything together yesterday about the Amber Alert for the little girl. It was a Canadian little girl, Melina, and her dad were visiting, and it was really worrisome. Hey Grateful, how are you? It's good to see you. Um I but it was really worrisome because they said that a van, that the last time they'd seen her, that she had been abducted by two men in a van. So I was getting everything ready for that to share with you guys today, and I was going to share it everywhere I could anyways. But you guys, it was really heartbreaking because it was Saturday night when it happened around 9, and then they put the Amber Alert out yesterday, early yesterday morning, but then yesterday afternoon, they found her deceased, and they have her father in custody. And it's awful, you guys. Hey, Tony, how are you? Happy Monday. I do have a few updates from. Remember last week we spoke about Miss Wilma and her her daughter Chrissy. Remember we spoke about her too, you guys. She thanked me on our on my live last week in the comments, and you guys know that I don't do this for money or to go viral or anything like that. I just feel like it wouldn't be right to have this platform and not use it for good, you know. And so I do have a few good updates. She remember Wilma, she was murdered in 1978, and she wasn't identified until 2006. But let me show you guys the few updates that we have. Remember, I was telling you guys that she was going to speak with that there was a new detective on the case, and she was going back to speak to them. And so that's the right here. And it is, remember, if you guys want to watch that live, it was last week, but also this. Hey, Music City Mom, how are you? It's good to see you. you guys can get to her Facebook group here. And if you see Color Obsessed, that is Chrissy, her daughter. And it says, I made it safely to Rock Rapids, met with Detective Amy Stoner, got scans of most of my photos back. Overall, it was good. I really wish the sheriff would be remotely open to corresponding with me, but apparently, he is very busy. Detective Stoner did say he is working on her case. I believe her. So I'm really glad that the new detective, that Chrissy does believe her, what she's telling her. And it says it just is so hard to believe when he seems to hate me and is too busy for a quick chat every few months. Okay, rant over. If you're a Rocky resident, I would like to say hi. I'll leave Sunday morning. And it kind of makes me sad, you guys, because okay, grateful, no problem. It's been too long already, and Chrissy is the most fierce, one of the most fierce advocates for her family members that I have ever seen. So, but we have to think about the good, right? She's happy with Detective Stoner, and she does believe that they're working on her mama's case. And also, I wanted to show you guys this. Remember that Wilma was sent away in the 60s to this school? I think that they would, hey, Starlight. Oh, no problem. I'm getting ready to get to her case, and I really, really appreciate it. It makes me feel good, you guys, when Miss Alma told me about this case that we're going to speak about today. And it makes me feel good that you guys trust me to be respectful, um, that you guys bring me cases like this. So I don't care a bit at all. And anybody is always free to email me about anything that we can bring more attention to. But remember last week we were talking about Wilma, and she was sent away. I forget what they call these kinds of schools, where you go and you live there. And she was there in the 1960s. But this is the school. It was called Mountain View School for Exceptional Children. And I've tried to look up all I could about it, you guys, and I wasn't able to find much. But she's asking, she says, this has been driving me absolutely nuts. Does anyone know anything about a school or possible live alternative school? That's what I was thinking of. Mountain View School for Exceptional Children. It was in Ramona, California. I know my mom was there from May 8th, 1968 to August 10th, 1972. And she says she searched a whole lot for it, and she can't find anything either. She says all she has is this sign. So if anybody knows anything about that, Ramona, California, then she would like you to reach out to her, and I'll drop her Facebook group again. And let me see. I think that this might go to her link tree, and there's more info there too. Okay, so I think that that's all the updates that I have from last week. And now let's get into this week. On my ticker at the bottom of the screen, I reckon that I will say that they do. That's another problem, you guys. Okay, in Canada, the laws are different than here. They have something, and you guys will have to help me, because usually I do. Sometimes I have to look up different cases from state to state, different laws, and then also the federal laws are different. But when it's a whole nother country, it's like super hard, you guys. But that's one of the problems here, is that they have something where it's called the Youth Criminal Justice Act, and it's been around since 2003. But there is a publication ban on minors, and so we don't know. I have seen the victim's name two places, which I'm of course not going to say, but I haven't seen the suspect's name anywhere, which I wouldn't say anyways. But they do have that publication ban, or usually I could tell you guys more about the victim and things like that, but I'm gonna do my very, very, very best. Yes, Van. She says, everyone, please stay safe in the heat. I was talking to my dad today, and his air conditioner has gone out in his car. He says one side is doing air, and the passenger side is putting out heat, like hot, hot heat. So I told him to stay home and we'd get it fixed. Bless his heart. It's awful, you guys. Yes. Please stay safe. Um, and so I'm going to do my very, very best to tell you guys what I know. But on the ticker on the bottom, they are still looking for doorbell or surveillance video. Like I said, they do have a suspect in custody. But if you have anything that could help, the Ontario Provincial Police, I have their number across the bottom, and I also have it in my description. Okay, so now let me get us pulled up what we're going to talk about today, you guys. This is an absolutely, I have never heard about a case so bad where a child or anybody is so badly hurt that they think that it's an animal. So this whole live is going to be a trigger warning. And I understand if you need to step away for this one. I don't have a lot of details about, the really bad part, and I wouldn't say it if I did, but I just want to put that out there. It's violence against an 8-year-old child. Okay, now I'll come back and make it bigger. Okay, so first I want to tell you guys a little bit. Yeah, Starlight, it really, really, really does. I tried to do the best that I could. It's good in some ways, but it's not so good in other ways. So first, and please correct me anything that I say wrong. You guys know I try really, really, really hard to research the best that I can, but it's a lot when you're learning about a whole other country and their laws and things like that. So please don't be afraid to correct me at all. Okay, so first they call it looks like Quadeville to me, but they call it Quadeville. And this is where it's located. And down here is Toronto, and then over to the right, about 100 miles, I believe, is Ottawa. And my holler is down here to the left somewhere. So it's not too far up there. But in the population is about 300, so a very, very, very small place. Um, and the only thing that I could find really about it, you guys, I thought that this was okay, Miss Elma. I hope you have a good day. Um, oh, that's good, Van. Yeah. Anything we can do to share Wilma's story, that'd be great. Um, so a very, very small place, like I said, and the only thing that I could really find about it, you guys, and I thought this was like, it like almost gave me chills, but they said in the 1940s, and I saw videos where people were actually going to the cabin in the woods, but they said in the 1940s that there was a man that they all believe was Al Capone that hid out there, and you can look on Facebook and go and see the cabin and things like that, but they say that he went by the name Joe Hatch, and they said that he would go down to the corner store, and it's the same corner store that we're going to talk about today. But back then, it was actually owned by the man that owns it today. It was actually owned by his father. So that's just like a side note because I was trying to learn about this area. Just a side note. But yeah, Mr. Caulfield. So that's gonna where we're gonna go at now. Yep, about 100 miles west of Ottawa. And so on June 23rd, um, a little girl, an 8-year-old girl, and some of the videos that we're going to watch today, the neighbors said that they used to see, and I don't know if he's talking about her sisters or just other little girls in the neighborhood, but he said that they would always be riding their bikes. And she was last seen around 6 p.m. at this grocery store called Caulfield's. And she was wearing a t-shirt and shorts and a white cap with a red maple leaf on it and bare feet. And I can just see that in my mind's eye, like when we were little. Um, Oh, you didn't know that either, Starlight? I thought it was kind of cool on the to watch. I saw the people were taking tours of that cabin and stuff, and some people seem to believe it, and some people don't. So I don't know. I just thought it was a cool little side note. And then I also, you guys know how realtors in areas, they'll show the houses that they're showing, and they were showing some houses on the same road, and so I got to see kind of what the layout of the area was like, and it kind of looks like my holler, really, you guys. If you want to know the truth about it, it's real. The woods and stuff reminded me of my area too. And but when they described what she was wearing, I could just see that in my mind's eye. And like, let's go back for a minute. Like when we were 8 years old, we would ride bikes too. And I remember I had this helmet, and I wouldn't wear the helmet on my head like, people should, little kids should, but I strapped it to the front of my bicycle because my basket broke. And I would put my cat in my basket and ride it around. And I can just imagine these little kids doing this. And it's summertime. They should be carefree. And it just made me sad to think about that. And but so that she was last seen around 6 p.m. and she was reported missing around 9 p.m. And we're gonna watch a town hall meeting today, a little bit of it. And one of the residents, and at this town hall meeting, you guys, 100 out of the 300 residents were there, so you could tell that this has affected the whole place significantly. But one of the men was asking why it took so long to get, and they basically, the law enforcement was saying that to get to this place, it takes them. They said that the law enforcement was dispatched immediately, but it took them a while to get there. So she was reported missing at 9 p.m. officially, I believe, and then around 12:30 is when she was found. After they had gotten the canines there, that's when she was found. And they said, thankfully, that the canine handler was a paramedic too. That, you guys, I've seen many places where they say it's a miracle that this child is alive. So, by God's grace, it was a paramedic that ended up finding her. And so the fire department helped remove her from the woods. And I think I have a photo of this is the road, and they had it taped off for a few days after the incident. And they got her, the fire department got her out, and then they ended up airlifting her to a children's hospital, the Ottawa Children's Hospital. Um, and let me see here. So this was the 23rd, right? But she was found shortly after midnight on the 24th. So I'm going to show you social media Facebook posts from the Upper Ottawa, the Ontario Provincial Police, the East Region, and it kind of takes us through it if we read their posts. Um, so it says the Upper Ottawa Valley OPP is investigating an overnight incident in Quadeville, southeast of Barry's Bay, in which a child suffered serious injuries. Though this appears to be an isolated incident, investigators are still working to determine the cause of the child's injuries. The victim remains in hospital, and we are working with medical officials as part of the investigation. Residents in the Quadeville area should keep children indoors or under close supervision until the source of the victim's injuries can be determined. If you see anything that could be related, and then it gives the phone numbers. And next, what I found was the Quadeville Pentecostal Church, and they actually did list the child's name, because you have to understand, at this time, you guys, everybody thought that it was a wild animal that had attacked the child. And so they did list her name, but I've blocked it out. But this is an awesome place, you guys. They do a lot for the community, and they did make a fundraiser for the little girl, and I will share it to you guys. Remind me. So it says down, this was the first one, and it says, asking the Quadeville Church and surrounding communities to pray for 8-year-old who is in surgery right now at CHEO. Pray that the Lord pour out grace on the medical staff and healing for her. Thank you. And then it says is now out of surgery and recovery before going into the ICU. Thank you for your prayers, but please continue them as this will be a challenging road for her and the family. The local community came to her aid last night, and we know they will continue to support her over the coming months. Thank you again. And so, next after that, so that was the 24th, and I want to tell you guys the last update that I saw about the 8-year-old baby was, I believe it was around the 15th. It was shortly after the town hall meeting, and they said that she was still recovering and she still wasn't able to speak, you guys. So almost a month later, so she's had surgery, emergency surgery looked like, on the 24th, and whatever she's gone through since then up until the 15th, she still hasn't been able to talk, you guys. So we still need to pray for her. We need to pray hard for her and for the whole community, really, you guys. So now this takes us to the 25th, and it says the OPP is continuing to investigate an incident that left a young child with potentially life-threatening injuries in Quadeville, southeast Barry's Bay. On Tuesday, June 24th, at approximately 12:30 a.m., officers with the Upper Ottawa Valley Detachment responded to reports that a child had been found at a location along Quadeville Road, suffering from serious injuries. The child was transported to hospital and later to a regional trauma center and is recovering from the injuries. The UOV OPP Crime Unit is continuing the investigation and working with the Ministry of Natural Resources. So I think what that is, you guys, is like the what do they call it, you guys? The ones that something in fish. Game and fish. That's what we call it around here. Remember in the Emily Pike case? I think that's what they're referring to here. That'd be the Ministry of Natural Resources under the direction of the OPP Criminal Investigation Branch with assistance from OPP Forensic Identification Services and the OPP Emergency Response Team. So it does sound like they've got a whole lot of people on this case the next day, which is great. But it says, while investigators suspect this has to have been an animal attack, further testing and analysis is required. As a precaution, parents in the Quadeville area should continue to keep their small children indoors or under close supervision. And then it gives the help numbers again. So the area, they were told to keep their children indoors or under close supervision. So that's what they were led to believe for weeks, all the way up until July the 9th. But now I want to play you guys a few videos so that we can see exactly what they were doing during this time. So right now they believe it's an animal attack, you know. And when confronted about this, they said that they felt at this time it would be better safe than sorry. So that's why they were telling people that it was probably an animal attack.
Police and wildlife officers searched the woods in Quadeville, Ontario, a small village about 2 hours west of Ottawa. The forest here is dense, but inside is something they suspect is behind a vicious attack on an 8-year-old girl.
People are, they're frightened.
On Monday, the girl had been out playing with her friends, but then went missing in the afternoon. Her disappearance prompted a community search in the area where she was last seen. Ontario Provincial Police got involved, and several hours later, shortly after midnight Tuesday, search dogs found her in the forest. She was alive, but seriously hurt.
We're not releasing the specific details of the injuries. They were very traumatic. In the initial stages, they did appear to be life-threatening injuries.
OPP suspected an animal attack and quickly warned the community to keep a close eye on small children or keep them inside.
It's alarming, but it's understandable. Anything can happen,
And the next video that I'm going to show you guys, the local children were actually, they did a lemonade stand to raise money for the 8-year-old baby, one of their classmates. But I'm sure if the parents were told that it could possibly be a human that did this, I don't think that they would. I think they would have kept even closer tabs on their children, because you can fight off, or a bear, but humans are different. You guys know what I'm saying?
If a young girl, young boy goes walking and they don't know where they're going, and they get mixed up.
The little girl was brought first to a nearby hospital, then airlifted to the Children's Hospital in Ottawa. The family's pastor was with them there while she underwent surgery.
I think it's important for people to know that the doctor did use the word miracle. She did say that it was a miracle that that she was alive.
Police say they are asking for any witnesses or surveillance video. There will be DNA testing to determine if an animal was behind the attack, and if so, what kind. With so many unanswered questions, people here remain on edge but are also so relieved their little neighbor was found. Nicole Williams.
Okay, now that I have that video that I told you guys about what the little kids were doing in the area, and then the next video is that, well, I'm thinking about it, you guys. Okay, they were checking the wounds for animal DNA, right? And basically, it happened on the 24th. But they said that it didn't come back non-animal DNA, so they haven't said if they have human DNA or not. But they said they found out it was non-animal DNA on July the 8th. So from 8 so 14 days. It seems in my mind that they should have had that back before 14 days. They can do a lot of DNA isn't like the olden days, It seems to me like they should have had that back way before then. So I'll show you this one about it. It shows a little bit more about the people in the community, what they were doing during this time. And it touched my heart that these youngins were that they were doing. You feel helpless in situations like this, but they were doing what they could do, to make them feel useful during this time, and it really touched my heart. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I actually saw it on someone from the area, their Facebook page, but they said that they couldn't share links, Canadian links somehow. They did a video from their phone and shared that, so then I had to look it up. So even things like that are different there, you guys.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the ongoing investigation in Quadeville after an 8-year-old girl was airlifted to CHEO in life-threatening condition following what police suspect was an animal attack. Over a week later, residents in the small community are still looking for answers. CTV's Josh Morano was there earlier today. And Josh, what were you hearing?
Yeah, Austin, residents are still in shock and trying to understand what exactly happened. Some tell me they aren't given enough information by police. However, they say there's strength in numbers coming together in support to try and raise money for the family during this difficult time.
A mystery still remains in Quadeville.
We just want to know what happened.
After a suspected animal attack left an 8-year-old girl with life-threatening injuries more than 1 week ago.
Everybody knew the girls. You always saw them running around, riding their bikes in the town, and it just touches your heart to, little girl.
See, guys, did you see those little bicycles with the tassels and the baskets? That's what reminded me of my childhood, you guys. And like I was saying, even after her body heals, her mind is just, she's going to be so scared. And so I hope that they get her therapy, which I'm sure that they will. I'll show you guys too the Pentecostal church. They actually had therapists there. They opened their doors after the town hall meeting and let everybody come for therapists there. So I thought that was great. She has a wonderful support system in this whole town, it seems like. So that's really great too.
Being viciously attacked like that. And I think, people they're searching for ways to help.
Down the road, Christine Hutter and her 3 kids are raising money for the girl's family with a lemonade stand in just a few hours, collecting over $200.
It was really important for him to be involved and hold this fundraiser for a classmate of his. And the other boys just wanted to get involved. The neighbors wanted to get involved. And we've been making a lot of money, which is great. And we hope it helps the family in some small way.
Along with a GoFundMe setup that has raised over $17,000, a fundraiser dinner was held at the town's community center.
I hope this really helps this family. What more can we do in the days to come? Lots. Because we're a community that gets together.
But residents say they're still looking for answers. While the OPP says it suspects an animal attacked the girl, officers have set up traps in the surrounding area. Residents wonder what kind of animal could have done this and whether it's safe outside for their children.
We've been keeping them inside a little.
Nature Rocks Vanessa, she says, has the little girl talked about what happened? Well, the last update that I saw was around the 15th, and she hasn't been able to speak yet about anything. So from the 24th to say the 15th, and still not able to speak, and emergency surgery. This baby has went through so much, and I agree with what the doctors and everybody else said. It's an absolute miracle. She's an absolute miracle.
A bit more, and with no further information, it's kind of frustrating. They want to go outside. They want to be out there with their friends, the neighbors, and they can't really unless we're there with them every single time.
People feel that there's an investigation going on, and they're just getting nothing. And I think we are entitled to more than what we're getting.
Hutter says she will continue to support the family, but hopes they get some more details soon.
We would love to know, was it an animal attack? Was it something else? We just want answers, and we want to know if our kids are safe.
OPP says it is working with the Ministry of Natural Resources and animal experts to identify the cause of the attack. Police also say they are looking for a possible witness who was in the area prior to the attack. More information can be found at
I'll tell you guys about that witness they were looking for when we get there. At the town hall meeting, they did say that they don't believe that he would have any information, though. Now, the next video that I wanted to show you guys is they have a former RCMP superintendent, and he talks about the animal stuff, and it's very, very interesting because he said that within a few hours or days they would be able to tell if it was an animal or not for sure. I don't know, Nature Rock. She said, did she have throat injuries or just traumatized and just can't talk about it? It could be either way. It really could. So I'm not sure about that.
Woods, and while police do suspect an animal attack may be the cause, they say they're still not certain. Quadeville is a quiet village about 2 hours west of Ottawa. That's where the young girl disappeared Monday evening and where search teams made a disturbing discovery hours later. Now investigators are back in the woods. They're trying to figure out what happened. As Nicole Williams tells us, the answers are still far from clear.
Police and wildlife officers searched the woods in Quadeville, Ontario, about 2 hours west of Ottawa. The forest here is dense, but inside is something they suspect is behind a vicious attack.
People are, they're frightened.
That's because an 8-year-old girl went missing on Monday. She had been out with friends, last seen in this area. It prompted a community-wide search. Ontario Provincial Police bringing in search dogs, finally tracking her down in the forest in the early hours of Tuesday. And when they pulled her out, discovered she was seriously hurt.
We're not releasing the specific details of the injuries. They were very traumatic. In the initial stages, they did appear to be life-threatening injuries.
OPP not clear on what did this to the little girl, but suspect she was a victim of an animal attack. Giving a warning to those living nearby, keep a close eye on small children or even have them side.
Could we be being overly cautious? Perhaps. If it was a wild animal, perhaps it's left the area, but we don't know that.
It's alarming, but it's understandable. Anything can.
I wanted to tell you guys that they did set out traps for an animal from June 24th to July the 4th, but nothing was captured and no significant wildlife activity was observed. So I do want to tell you guys that they said that they finally had to remove them because I guess that the bait that they use for those traps could actually attract the wild animals and stuff, but they did try that, but they didn't find anything.
Happen, if a young girl, young boy goes walking and they don't know where they're going and they get mixed up.
As for the little girl, she was brought to a nearby hospital where she was made stable enough to then be airlifted to the Children's Hospital in Ottawa. The family's pastor with them there while she underwent surgery.
I think it's important for people to know that the doctor did use the word miracle. She did say that it was a miracle that that she was alive.
Officials say an investigation into exactly what happened is ongoing. There will be DNA testing to determine if and what kind of animal may have been behind the attack. The residents in this area say they are both extremely relieved that this little girl was found alive, but their minds are far from being put at ease. Nicole Williams, CBC News, Quadeville, Ontario.
Well, let's bring in former RCMP Superintendent Gary Clement. He joins us from Ottawa. Gary, we've talked to you over the years on all kinds of different stories involving policing, but never one like this. I've not heard of a story that, starts with a small kid, a little girl missing in the woods, and then seen to be, with life-threatening injuries.
Nature Rocks, Vanessa says, yeah, I'm wondering if the animal was scared off. Thankfully, it didn't get to do any more damage. Well, actually, Vanessa, it wasn't an animal. They determined on July the 8th that there was no animal DNA, and they arrested a 17-year-old boy. Yeah, it was a 17-year-old boy.
And it's still not be clear this number of hours later as to whether it's an animal attack or something else. What do you make of all of this?
I mean, looking at it pragmatically, she's gone to the hospital. The doctors have examined her. So the fact that the officers and the Ministry of Natural Resources are involved in the woods, that suggests to me that they are fairly confident it had to have been an animal attack. Once she got to the hospital, the doctors would be very quick to be able to announce whether it was an attack of an animal or.
See, guys, this was the part that really, really interested me. He said fairly soon after she got to the hospital, they would be able to determine if it was an animal attack or not. So that's why I wanted to play this for you guys, because how long, I forget the 24th, so 6, 8, 14 days, 2 weeks. It took them 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't think I said that part yet, Vanessa. It's okay. Yep.
Some other weapon, and I don't think that's the case here. The other thing I think we got to put into perspective is when an animal attacks a person, the other concern you have to have, did the animal have rabies? So I'm sure that's why they want to track this animal down for the benefit of the young lady that unfortunately is going through quite a traumatic experience. And so those are the things they're going to look at. But The warning that has been given to watch children and keep them inside kind of suggests to me that they have a fair indication of what it was. They'll want to rule out whether it was a domestic animal or whether it is a wild animal.
And yet that
Yeah, they said keep your kids inside or keep a very close eye on them. But still, you guys, that it's still different because you know that animals can't open your door, or break in through your window most likely. So if you're inside your house, you think you're all right. But like Starlight said, it was an animal of the human type, and those kind can break in doors and can break in windows. So it was just way too long to wait to tell people, in my opinion.
sort of high degree of caution or whatever it is, where the police, even at this point, still not confirming that it was an animal attack? I mean, is that just the way police agencies are, kind of erring on the side of, I don't know, extreme caution in terms of giving out information?
I think they want to be 100% sure before they announce anything, because as you well know, Ian, especially with law enforcement today, if they come out with a statement and then find something out later, unfortunately, law enforcement gets criticized to the nth degree. So they're going to be excessively cautious to make sure that when they come forward, they have all the facts. I understand, and I'm sure that's what they're doing. They'll be combing the neighborhood, seeing if there's security cameras on any of the houses. So their investigation will be continuing. But as I said, it just leads me to believe the fact that Ministry of Natural Resources is there. They're combing the woods. That's pretty strong indication it had to have been an animal.
Yeah, I guess one final thing, and in your long policing career, I'm not sure if you ever had encounters with wildlife or officers under your command did. I assume they probably did. But how do you think the OPP is coordinating things with whatever the wildlife agency is at this point in the woods?
Well, they've got tracking dogs, so it's going to be fairly easy unless the animal took off and left the area. The fact is that if the animal happens to be suffering from some sickness, it should be able to be tracked down. They should be able to track it. The fact they've got the Ministry of Natural Resources there, I'm sure the ministry is there with their dart guns, that if they find the animal, they can sedate it. So those are the things that they're going to be considering at this time. They have to, and being in law enforcement, they have to be able to run this down in order to announce to the community, the local community and the community at large, that it's safe to move forward with their life.
Yeah, good point. The worst thing that could possibly happen, already a bad thing's happened, but the worst thing would be if there were another attack like this. Gary, always nice talking to you, and who knows?
So I wanted to show you guys that because I thought that was very interesting what that fella had to say about that they would be able to tell fairly quickly. But I do have to say that it was good that we read all of those departments that they had working on this case, and it does seem like they didn't have tunnel vision, that they were looking for, they were still looking at the animal side, but also they were looking for the human side too. So let's see where that gets us now. Let's see here. So now this is July the 9th, and I've read in other places that they made the arrest the day before. So it says an individual. Oh, I think I'm not sharing with you guys. And I did want to tell you guys too, I think that we're supposed to get a storm. Well, I think it's already past time for it actually, but if I go out, I'll come back and fix it on my phone, so don't worry about me. We'll get it. It says an individual has been charged with attempted murder in connection with an attack on a child in Quadeville, southeast of Barry's Bay. And the charges were attempted murder and sexual assault with a weapon on a person under 16. And that part really caught my eye too, that the essay was with a weapon. So that makes it like a million times worse in my eyes. And a 17-year-old did this, allegedly. It says on Tuesday, June 24th, 2025, shortly after 9 p.m., officers with the Upper Ottawa Valley Detachment of the Ontario Provincial Police OPP Emergency Response Team and K-9 units responded to a report of a missing child in Quadeville. The OPP K-9 unit located the 8-year-old child just before 12:30 a.m. on Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. The child, who sustained life-threatening injuries, was transported to hospital and remains under the care of medical professionals. During the investigation, the cause of the victim's injuries was unclear. While early evidence suggested a possible animal attack, investigators did not rule out human involvement. To aid in the investigation, multiple pathology experts were consulted. While the incident is still under investigation, recent testing of samples taken from the victim's wounds has now revealed no traces of animal DNA. As a result of the ongoing investigation, on Tuesday, July the 8th, 2025, a 17-year-old male from Eastern Ontario was arrested and charged under the Criminal Code with attempt to commit murder and sexual assault with a weapon on a person under 16 years old. The accused was held in custody and is scheduled to appear before the Ontario Court of Justice at a later date, and he has appeared once so far. The OPP acknowledges the community's concerns regarding this incident and sincerely appreciate the public's patience as the investigation progresses. The OPP is planning to hold a town hall meeting on Saturday, July the 12th, to address questions and concerns from local residents. Further information will be shared as more information about time and location become available, and then it leaves the help numbers. So this was the first time that the residents found that it wasn't an animal for sure, and that it was a human, and it was this 17-year-old human allegedly. So now this is the video that I wanted to show you guys next. And they're talking about the town hall meeting, and then I'll show you guys parts from that too. Like I said, the residents were rightfully concerned still and asking questions just like we all are. Uh, Let me see here. I think that's the wrong one. Let me see here. Yep, this is where the residents speak a little bit. And I'm always sharing with you guys the links in the chat to these videos if you guys ever want to go back and watch at a different time. Starlet says, I hope he didn't have other victims. I know. That's what I was concerned about too. And that was also one of the questions that I was thinking about, where they don't release his name and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't see how that's the first thing that you ever do in your life. A crime that big and bad, it doesn't seem like you would just go from nothing to that. So it seems like he would possibly have other victims that could come forward. They do say that they're not saying whether he knew the victim or not, and I think he's from this community also, because the residents at the town hall meeting, they say that it's hard to support both families, because they're asking, was it just him or were other people involved? And they didn't answer that. So I think that the residents were basically saying, look, did his family have anything to do with this, or possibly covering it up afterwards, because we don't want to support them too, But after he made his first court appearance, they said that he had no expression. He was expressionless, but his parents were both there and they were crying really bad. So I think they're surprised as everybody else in this situation. Starlight says, I know we have had petitions for it time and time again. I want change with these laws. Yeah, I totally understand and see that, absolutely. And you guys, what I've been able to find, I'll show you guys the articles after this, is that he here people can be charged as an adult, but there I think he has to go through the youth system court, but his punishment can be adult. He can get an adult punishment. So I'll show you guys. And just a few days ago, the Supreme Court passed something about that youth offenders that I was telling you guys about. We'll look at that too, because I've tried to look into it the best that I can. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I really, really appreciate that, you guys.
It's a stunning revelation that has shaken this small village to its core.
My heart dropped. I am right now. I'm hurting really bad. Yes.
Shocked, disbelief, heartbroken, numb.
Over 2 weeks ago, an 8-year-old girl from the community of Quadeville, Ontario, went missing, found by police dogs after a late-night search with life-threatening injuries. Now, in a shocking development, police have charged a 17-year-old male with attempted murder and sexual assault with a weapon on a minor.
Officers also started looking at other aspects that might have been involved, and one of those led them to talk to the 17-year-old.
Police say the arrest was the result of their ongoing investigation while they awaited forensic testing. Up until Wednesday night, they maintained publicly that they suspected it was an animal attack.
The fact that we didn't want to cause excess panic, but yet we didn't want to underplay the potential that there could be a risk to someone else out there. So it was a tough balancing act.
Over the course of the investigation, warnings stayed in place for people nearby to keep young kids inside or under close watch, but police did not say what to watch for.
We didn't know what was going on. There was a lot of questions like, why are we supposed to keep our kids indoors? What are we supposed to be scared of?
For this small community of less than 300 people, these latest allegations are even harder to accept.
At the town hall meeting too, you guys, it's hard to hear. It was only one person that filmed it, and I think it was just a person from the community, but it's really hard to hear. I might see if I can boost it a little bit and we can listen to the parts that aren't so bad. But this one lady said that the 17-year-old was on a bus. And I'm not sure if you guys are having school right now or it was some other kind of bus or something, but she was really upset about that. She said how he could have hurt the bus driver or hurt other children on the bus. Like I said, they had their eyes out the windows to look for, when the kids were getting on and off the bus, to look for animals. They didn't know to keep such a close eye inside the bus, you know?
It's very sad. I'm sorry. I didn't know her personally, but I see them all the time. It's very sad.
Officers are still on the ground throughout the community, knocking on doors and speaking to people. Police are not sharing details about the suspect because he is a minor. The teen is scheduled to appear in court next week.
And Nicole, there are still many questions coming from the community even after that arrest.
That's right, including what information police did or did not share. And police do say they're going to handle that head on. They're going to be hosting a town hall here on Saturday where they'll take questions from community members about the investigation and about exactly what happened here over the last 2 weeks.
All right, thanks for this, Nicole.
I think I do have parts of that town hall meeting that are a little easier to hear. Vanessa made a very good point. She said they knew that first day at the hospital she was assaulted and an animal didn't SA her. That is a very great point, and that didn't even hit my brain. You guys, well, Van, you know that my brain, sometimes you pack so much into it, and the things that are right in front of your face, they just go right over my head sometimes. So let me see here. this is, I think this is one part of, yeah, this is parts of the town hall meeting that we can listen to.
We'll try to answer questions as best we can.
A community reeling from a devastating tragedy.
I knew that you guys didn't know until just now.
Tonight, looking for answers.
How did it take you guys as long as it did to find that little girl?
Tensions for some ran high.
They got here as quickly as they could to commence the start. They have a process they have to follow.
Police holding a town hall to update residents and take their questions about what happened to a little girl.
It took 2 weeks of us thinking it could potentially be an animal attack. Why so long?
It was initially suspected an animal attack in late June is what sent an 8-year-old girl to hospital with life-threatening injuries. Traps were put.
Starlet said that she said, crazy, no school right now, but we had school until last week of June, so that would make sense. Thank you for that, because I figured that you guys might go to school later than us because you would be out more for snow and things like that. So that's why I was thinking that that's probably what it was.
Out, and the community was warned to be careful.
It's been just like a roller coaster, kind of like the victim, I think I've seen her before, like once or twice.
But earlier this week, police confirmed no animal was involved and charged a 17-year-old boy with attempted murder and sexual assault with a weapon.
We could not rule it out at the start. Investigators, in consultation with all of these experts, could not rule out that it was an animal attack. So could you imagine an animal attack in your community that the OPP knew about and did not tell you?
What they now know was a violent crime has this small community focused on trying now to heal together.
Living here and knowing Quadeville, everyone will do the best to make sure that everyone feels seen, heard, connected.
There is a whole lot of healing that's going to have to take place. I think we can agree on that.
Absolutely, yep.
And in a small community, you have that ability to support each other.
And there is hope among some. This meeting may have been a first step.
I feel like we got a bit of permission to just really make sure that everyone stays included and, all the families involved. And I feel like that's really important. We don't want anyone to feel like they can't get support from each other.
Those we spoke with say they can now start to move forward as a community, even if it won't be easy. The pastor for the community church is bringing in counselors to be made available for.
Let me show you guys that post from the church too, because I thought that was really, really good. And a lot of places could learn from this, how they did this. Let me see here. So this was the 12th. So that was that the day? Tomorrow. So that this would be the day after the town hall meeting. It says the church doors will be open tomorrow from 3 p.m. until 5 p.m. for a prayer vigil. We will also have 1 to 2 clinical counselors available for any who feel that they need an outlet to express their emotions and begin to heal. People from the surrounding communities are welcome to come pray, speak to a counselor, and leave when they wish. If you are unable to be here tomorrow, please continue to keep our community in your prayers. God bless you richly. I thought this was absolutely wonderful. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't make it big. I thought that was absolutely wonderful how they were doing that. So let me see here. I do want to, there were a few things that I wanted to show you guys about what I found about the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Let me see here. So this was July the 10th. This video is not about what I wanted to read you guys down there, so I'm just going to pause that. Let me see here. Okay, down here is A 17-year-old teen has been charged in what Ontario Provincial Police are calling a horrific attack on an 8-year-old girl in eastern Ontario that police initially believed was done by an animal. Police say it is a miracle that the girl survived the attack. It has left some wondering on social media, can young offenders in Canada who are near the age of majority ever be prosecuted or sentenced as adults? In Canada, those under 18 face charges under the Youth Criminal Justice Act regardless of the crime, which also states that they cannot be named. We have a separate youth justice system because the law recognizes that young people have reduced moral blameworthiness, said former director at Brock University's forensic psychology. And you guys, I was thinking about this. So we don't know how old this 17-year-old is, right? He could be 17 years old in 1 month or 17 years old in 10 months, you know? So if he was 18 years old, that's just 2 months. So it doesn't seem like you could get a lot of maturity level in 2 months. You guys know what I'm saying? So I think they should look more on a person by person basis. You guys feel me? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like all should be under this. But it says, let's see here. They're still changing in terms of their maturity. Emotionally, they're changing. Developmentally, they're changing. And we recognize that they, as a result, ought to be less criminally responsible than adults. The Act says sentencing for a youth must be least restrictive sentence that will hold them accountable, which also promote his or her rehabilitation in society. And I've gone down a big rabbit hole about this, and I do think that rehabilitation is a problem across the board everywhere. So, and like this offender, he's not going to be in jail. Thankfully, thank God that she didn't pass away. But so he is going to be out on the streets one day. So I do realize the need for rehabilitation, but I'm just curious if they really do rehabilitate like it says here. You know, I'm wondering about those statistics, but it says so under 12, it says, under Section 13 of the Criminal Code, no person shall be convicted of an offense, nor can charges be laid on someone under the age of 12. I remember this one case, his name was Cody. I remember his first name was Cody. And him and his dad and his stepmom and his stepsister lived together. And they lived on a ranch that they rented from a producer. The names are leaving my mind, but I remember this specifically. I think he was near 12. And he executed his dad and his stepmom and his stepsister. Do you guys remember that? So in if he lived and he didn't have to spend he had to spend many years, but if he was under the age of 12, he wouldn't have even been charged in Canada. Do you guys remember that? Hey, Neat Noodle, how are you? It's good to see you. This has been an awful one, Nate. Um, it I accidentally pressed something. Um, this has been an awful case, Nate. Yeah, nature rocks. That's true. So in this aspect, it is good if they really truly do the rehabilitation like they say. And I was wondering if I could look up more about that, you know. So right here is where I got this at, you guys. It says, while youth cannot face trial as an adult, adult sentencing is possible for convicted youth if the crime was committed after they turned 14. So this offender is over 14, so that's good at least that he could face adult sentencing. But what I'm going to read you about what the Supreme Court passed a few days ago, it's going to make it harder, I think. So it says, Justice for Children and Youth, which provides legal representation in Ontario, says an adult sentence can be laid against a child 14 to 17 if convicted for murder, attempted murder, manslaughter, or aggravated assault. So attempted murder. So that would fit this case. They can also face an adult sentence if convicted of an indictable offense or serious violent offense, and the prosecutor applies for such a sentencing, or if found guilty of committing a serious offense for the third time. So we also don't know if this offender has any past criminal history. Starlight says, I think they do just case to case because I've seen kids be charged before. Yeah. Yeah. Neat. I was watching Steven Stern's sentencing earlier, but I had to leave. I was just after the part where he was saying no contest and guilty, and I heard two of the victim impact statements. Was Jennifer, did she end up going or not? My mama was asking me about that. I'll have to let her know. Let's see here. Oh no. Bless your heart. It's an adventure, isn't it? Taking care of our animals. According to the Act, after a youth is found guilty but before sentencing, the Crown may take an application for the Youth Justice Court for the youth to face an adult sentence. The court will hold a hearing for arguments to be heard and then rule on the issue. So, after they're found guilty but before sentencing, the judge would also look at various factors, including the seriousness and circumstances of the offense, the person's age, background, and criminal record. And we don't know anything in this case. We don't know anything about we do know the serious and circumstances of the offense is absolutely the worst of the worst of the worst, in my opinion. But we don't know the background and criminal record. It says an adult sentence would be imposed if, as laid out by the Act, it's deemed a youth sentence would not be of sufficient length to hold the young person accountable. But Marino said even a murder charge against a youth doesn't automatically mean an adult sentence is sought. It may be that by the time the young person has been found guilty and sentencing is to take place, that perhaps the young person has made a lot of changes already and the court recognizes that they're moving in the right direction. Wow. So they could change their attitude and try to do things behind bars to get a lighter sentence. I don't know how I feel about that. Youth given an adult sentence can ask their lawyer about a potential appeal. Under the Youth Criminal Justice Act, sentences for youth are different than the sentences for adults. Unlike an adult being sentenced for first-degree murder who could face life in prison, for example, a young person could face no more than 10 years. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So that is for murder, first-degree murder. So this is attempted murder. So if they could only get 10 years for murder, then for attempted murder, way less than that. Oh my gosh, you guys, should a convicted youth, if a youth is convicted as an adult for the same charge, they could face life in prison if adult sentencing is allowed in their case. Should a convicted youth be sentenced as an adult, they would likely be placed in a youth facility until they become an adult, at which point they be sent to an adult facility. That's what you were telling us about, Starlight. A judge must, when they hit 18, a judge must order the remainder of a sentence be served in an adult facility unless it's deemed not in their best interest and would not jeopardize the safety of others. So we learned a little bit from that, you guys, but there is one more article that I want to show you guys about what recently happened just a few days ago by the Supreme Court. Let me see here. It's down here. I'll come back and make it bigger. Okay. So this was July 18th, and it says Supreme Court of Canada tightens rules on sentencing youth offenders as adults. Oh my gosh, you guys. Is it not going to give it to me because I already looked at it? Oh my goodness. This is one of the ones that I didn't take that I didn't take a screenshot of. Let me see if I can get it on my phone, guys. Neat Noodle said, "Hey Carl, how are you? It's good to see you." Neat Noodle says, "I do believe in restorative justice, especially for juveniles, but that needs to be meted out carefully. Some individuals have the type of personality that is likely to reoffend." Yeah, yeah, I do understand that. Neat, in this situation, it was an 8-year-old little girl, and I'll tell you what the 17-year-old was charged with. Attempted murder and SA with a weapon on a person under 16 years old. And so it was really, this is the worst of the worst, you know. Yeah, paywall crap, Carl. How rude. How rude. What was that little girl that used to say that, you guys, on Full House? That I just reminded myself of that. Let me see if I can find it on here and I can read it to you guys on my phone. Because that was a really good article. I would have signed in and already did all that if I knew it was going to do us that way, guys. Let me see here. Oh my gosh, it lets me get it on my phone. Uh, let's see here. It says the top court in 2 related decisions on Friday. So this was on the July 18th, so just recently. It says provided added detail on how the law should be interpreted by the lower courts. In Canada, few young people are convicted of such serious crimes and therefore sentenced as adults, but the decisions are still likely to represent important precedents in how lower courts decide these cases in the future. The Youth Criminal Justice Act revolves around the principles of a young person's presumed diminished moral blameworthiness, that younger people than 18 may not make decisions like an adult and in general should not be held to the same standard in criminal proceedings. In the primary ruling on Friday, written by Justice Nicholas Cassire, the top court said the Crown must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a young person does not merit the presumption of diminished blame for their crime on account of their youth. The top court also said a serious crime such as first-degree murder shouldn't be a main factor to lead judges to impose adult sentences. And it says they have to cite specific considerations as their maturity, impulsiveness, or bravado, and whether planning reveals a level of sophistication and foresight that aligns with adult-level reasoning. So basically, you guys, they let me see here. Yes, Michelle Tanner, Starlight, you know, you feel me. So basically, you guys, you can look it up that on just this past Friday, they have made it more difficult, it seems, in Canada to charge a person under 18 with an adult sentence. So remember, we just saw that under if they were charged in the lower in the juvenile courts, that the most they could get for murder even was 10 years. So in this case, even so, it's attempted murder in SA with a weapon on a child under 16. That's probably like 5 years or something, you guys, less than 10 years. So I really, really hope and pray that that I hope and pray that he can be, what was that word they just said, blameworthiness. I hope they can prove that he well, you guys, he evaded capture. Well, not evaded capture, but that all that whole time from June the 23rd until July the 8th, he probably tried to cover up his tracks and things like that. He sure didn't come forward and say, "Hey, it wasn't an animal, it was me," you know? Carl says, "I know a judge in my area that says men don't actually grow up until 40. Well, I know that ain't that the truth, but so let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to show you guys. that totally ruined my I wanted to show that article to you guys. Uh let's see here. I think that was all, you guys. That's all that I had. Oh, let me show you guys. Let me make sure that it doesn't. Oh, you guys, they've raised 45,000 so far. Let me show you guys this. This is the church, um, that Pentecostal, the Quadeville Pentecostal Church that we're doing so much in the community. They're the ones that started the fundraiser for the little 8-year-old, and they've raised 45,000 so far. So that is absolutely wonderful. Let me see if I can share it with you guys. And like I always say, just do your due diligence before donating, like always. But they do go in here and explain exactly what the funds are going to be used for. And they said that it does go through the church for just a second for after the fees come out of GoFundMe, but then 100% of the fundraiser proceeds will go directly to the young girl and her family. The church in no way benefits financially. They'll give you an official receipt. Um, so they're just talking about a little bit more about the distribution, but I absolutely Joseph Florentino. He is the pastor at this church, and that has eased my mind a whole lot, you guys, about this area that they're doing so much. Um, I do have now we can get to our good story, you guys. I do have a yeah, Vanessa just dropped my link. If you guys have any other stories that you would like for us to go over, I'll do my absolute best. And Vanessa, drop your link to you guys. Vanessa has a great channel too, and she absolutely does, and she's always posting stuff on her community tab too. Beautiful pictures, you guys. The good story that I wanted to tell you guys about is in Florida. This 18-year-old girl in St. Augustine, Florida. She it was a little bit ago, June the 29th. Her name's Emma, and she worked at this place called the Smoke Shop. That's the name of it, Smoke Shop. And she was working there on June the 29th, and her sister actually works there too. She works on a different shift. And a few days before this, somebody had stolen some stuff from there, and her sister actually got in trouble for it. So on this day, when 31-year-old Theodore Tunador, he came in and he used the restroom first and left, and then he came back and got behind the counter and stole a whole bunch of stuff. And so she thought that she was going to get into trouble, so she tries to block his escape on the way out, and he tries to capture her. He tries to abduct her, you guys. And she fights so hard and she saves herself. Just a second, I'll come back and get you guys and show you. And a self-defense instructor, he said she absolutely did. She saved herself and screaming, and she was not giving up without a fight. Um, Let me make it bigger for you guys. So this is the surveillance outside the shop. Trigger warning, really, really bad, you guys. I forgot to tell you that. It's really, really bad. She's fighting for her life here. Awful. Guys, the one the one that I saw, the clip that I saw wasn't that bad. they must have muted it out or something, but I went straight to the sheriff's office to get that video, and it's way that screaming just. But a lady next door, she saw her. Yeah, Starlight. He was an unhoused individual, and he had actually caused a bunch of trouble at a Walmart, stolen a bunch of stuff from there, and then he steals that truck, and then he goes to the smoke shop and does that to her. Um, but I wanted to show you guys. She speaks about it now, and so I wanted to show you guys that. Uh, let me see here. $18 years old. And the bad part, you guys, after all this, her and her sister both gets fired. Like, what the hell, dude? She bless her heart. He should be offering her counseling and stuff like that, not firing both her and her sister. That made me really mad, you guys. Let me make sure that it's bigger.
Okay. Emma, can you go ahead and say and spell your first and last name for me?
EMMAMARINE.
And how old are you?
18.
Great. So this attempted kidnapping that you're involved in happened around 2 weeks ago. How are you doing at this point in time? And can you kind of tell us a little bit of your processing, your thought process since this happened?
Well, I'm still trying to recover from it. Obviously, it was pretty traumatic. But yeah, lately I've just been trying to focus on myself and get back to work.
Can you walk us through what happened that day?
It was just a normal day. Just
okay.
He came in an hour and a half before the incident, and then he just used the bathroom and left. Whenever he came back, he used the bathroom again. He was only in there like 2 minutes. Came out, looked around for a minute, and then he went behind the counter and then just started grabbing stuff, throwing it around, and started putting stuff in his pockets. And then the entire time I'm asking him to go to the other side of the counter, and I'm asking him if he's going to be paying for all the product, and he's saying he is. And then eventually we go over by the counter, and then he tries going for the front door. So I block his way, and then he said, "What are you going to do about it?"
We have been talking this whole time about diminished capacity in 18 people under 18. Well, she's barely 18, you guys, and I'm not sure that I would have known what to do at her age. Like, you might think, well, maybe I should go with him because so he won't hurt me. You might think that, but we also know, and a lot of us have been told, that you fight, scream, because your chances of survival go down if they move you from one location to the other. So she knew what to do at such a young age, and that really hit me too.
And then I sort of froze up a little bit, and then he just pushed me out of the door and put me in a chokehold and dragged me out to the truck and then tried shoving me in.
What did you do? What actions did you take to try to get away from him?
I just kept fighting back and screaming.
Why did you try to stop him and not just let him go about his way with that merchandise and leave?
Honestly, to keep my job. Because I was worried the boss was going to fire me if I didn't.
Can you elaborate on that?
Less than a week before that, a customer had stolen something on my sister's shift, and he did threaten to fire her if it happened again, or he was going to take it over, pay again.
So you were concerned that that merchandise he was taking was going to be taken out of your paycheck?
Yeah.
Did you ever think about about not fighting him back?
No, because by the time he had already had me, I wasn't thinking straight at all. So at that point, all I could do was fight back.
Was he saying anything to you during this entire interaction?
No, he did not say anything else to me after he had pushed me out of the door.
What did he say to you when he was pushing you out the door?
He didn't say while he was doing it, but right before he said, "What are you going to do about it?" And that's when I sort of froze up.
What was going through your head when he grabbed you and dragged you to his car?
Just that I had to get away, and I was terrified that he was going to hurt me.
Were you injured at all?
Yes, I did get 2 cuts on my wrist.
A lady in one of the offices next door, she's the one that called 911, and her and this little girl Marina, they got in a I think it was her car, and locked the doors so they would be safe until police arrived. So thank God for that lady too that was there for her.
Throughout this experience, have you gone through any personal protection training before? And how did you know what to do in order to get away from him?
I have not done any personal protection things yet, but my parents had always taught me that whenever you're in any sort of danger, you always fight back. So,
what's your reaction to all the praise and compliments that you're receiving for how you handled the situation?
I hope this can show other women and young females like myself that you can fight back and that it doesn't matter how small you are.
Are you still working at the smoke shop?
No, I'm not. The boss did let me and my sister go.
Do you know why? Any reasoning?
No, he has not contacted either of us.
What's your reaction to that, of how he treated you through this situation?
Did you hear that, guys? So even after all that, he just ghosted him. Didn't even tell him why he's firing him. Which, I can't remember if it was my first job. My first job, I worked at a grocery store, and I think it was at that one. They told us never ever put up a fight. Just give them what they want. Never ever. So maybe it was because she actually did put up a fight. I don't know. Carl, I see that too, and maybe it's just she's not used to public speaking. I was thinking, you guys, on my first quote-unquote live stream, I actually did it recorded. I did it like I'm doing now, but if I got stuck switching between pages and stuff, I just edited that out. But maybe it's just that,
Situation?
Pretty upsetting, because he was my boss for a few months, and everything was going good up until that incident, and he just completely stopped talking to either of us.
What message do you have for the person who stepped in to help you when you guys were calling 911?
I am beyond thankful to her for being in that area and being able to get help that fast for me.
Do you have any advice or words for other women who might find themselves in similar situations?
Just never be quiet. Always fight back no matter what. Like, kick, scream, all of it. It will do justice.
How do you plan on moving forward, kind of coping with some of the stuff that you've been through?
Definitely gonna be getting some therapy, and then from there I'm gonna figure out a job, and hopefully that'll help me keep my mind off of everything.
What's the biggest takeaway you had from this experience of yours?
The world is a scary place, so you never can let your guard down, and always watch around you.
Do you have anything else you want to add, elaborate on, make sure that the public knows? Anything that you might not have added?
No, not that I can think of.
I'll have to look and see what sentence. I'll have to keep up with that and see what kind of sentence he gets. But I thought that was a good story, and we can learn a lot from that too. Like I said, sometimes I don't know. I can't give any advice about that. But in this instance, she fought and screamed, and she was not going anywhere, and it worked out for her. Um, you guys are sad. All right, I think that that's all I have for you guys today. Miss Alma sent me this case, so if you guys ever have any cases that you think that we can speak about and bring more awareness to, you're always free to email me or comment under this video or anything. I don't care a bit to use my platform for good. And I know my platform is small, but you never know the kind of ripples that you can make. You know, it only takes one, the right person to see, and you can make a change. You know, I wish that everybody would use their platforms for good, to be honest. Well, thank you, Starlight. Thank you all for coming. I really, really appreciate you guys coming. It really means a whole lot to me that you spend your time with me. Time is not like money. You can't make more time, you know. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Van. Thank you so much. Um, don't forget to say your prayers, you guys, especially for this 8-year-old and the whole community of Quadeville. And take your vitamins, and I'll see you guys next time, okay? I love y'all.